Well, hello everyone. How are you doing? Um, all right. So today we are going to have the word case studies come on with us, and we're going to be talking about Aileen Wuornos. Now, she's a very old case. Hey, there's my friend Jen. Let's let her on. Add to the stage. There she is, Jen Lou. How you doing? Okay, let me turn your mic on for you. Is it on?
It's on.
Great. All right. Hey, Kelly, how are you doing? All right. So I'm a little bit nervous. I'll tell you that because, I just get really nervous. But anyway, I was just kind of talking about Aileen being a just really old case that has a lot of complex parts to it, a lot of layers, and just things about her childhood that were just terrible. So what I want to do, let me show y'all this first, y'all. Look, this came yesterday. I was so excited.
Let me see.
I know it's stupid. It's a toy, right? But look how cute he is.
Oh, that is cute.
This is like, I'm never buying anything else from Pop Mart. This is the very end of the Labubu craze. I'm done. Just very
You have music going on in the background?
a little bit, yeah.
Can
Is
you
it
turn
too
it
loud?
down? It's a little loud, yeah. Can you turn it down?
I couldn't
Please?
tell. Okay, let me take care of
It's
that.
easier when you hear it with the headphones. You can hear it. It's
Oh,
loud.
I don't have my headphones on. Okay. I was playing a little bit so we don't get the little copyright. Can you still hear it?
No, now it's completely quiet.
Okay.
It's okay to have it just a little.
Now is it okay?
I still can't hear it.
Okay, that's good then. We'll just leave it like that. That's all right. Anyway.
Well, no. If you want the music for the copyright, just turn it up a little bit. All you needed to do was like just a little bit down.
Okay.
It was fine how you had it, just a
I'm
little
use
bit
my
down.
crazy little mouse here.
Okay. There you go. That's good. Right there.
It's not loud?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. And we can talk over it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I don't want it to be just too loud, there's no way to just, I think it just bumped itself here. No, it just won't do that. Here, let me just take it down a little bit because it sounds like okay, anyway.
Okay, there you go.
Here we go. So, I thought we would start with, because you know a lot more about her, because I knew you did a big study on her, didn't you? It was like a couple of years ago. Is that right, Jen?
Well, I didn't
When you-
cover her on my channel or anything. I've followed Aileen. It's really Aileen for a long time. And just like on my own, but at some point I probably will do something. I just don't know what yet.
All right. Well, they talk about her being the first female serial killer, and that's really not true. I know.
No, it's not.
Hey there, country life. Good to see you. Hello. Thank you for coming in today. I've got my phone now.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Now I have her brief, and it's the appellate's brief, and it's really good because it's 87 pages, which I don't think we can read the whole thing in one day. So I might have to do a number 2 just to get that part out.
Okay.
But she did this. Do you want to go ahead and start? I'm gonna let you start out with her childhood because I think you know more about her childhood than I do. I know about the afterwards. So
okay. Yeah. I mean, Aileen had a rough childhood. Her grandparents adopted her. Her mom was a teenage. She got pregnant with her when she was a teenager, and she gave her to her parents. She has a younger brother, Keith, and her grandparents adopted her and raised her, but they weren't really stable. The grandmother was an alcoholic, and her grandfather was very abusive, both verbally, physically, and I don't know what we can say on this on your channel.
I'm not even monetized. It's whatever.
He was also he was also physically and sexually abusive to Aileen. So, and Aileen's biological father was diagnosed as a schizophrenic, and he also had a history of molesting children. He was incarcerated for essaying a 7-year-old girl, and he committed self-harm in prison when Aileen was, young, and she never even met him. So she had a very tumultuous childhood. And then just the neighborhood that she grew up in, she was pretty much like an outcast in that neighborhood. They made fun of her. They picked on her. They even like her brother would join in. And so she had it very, very rough growing up. And she started prostituting herself around the neighborhood when she was like 12, 13 years old. And when she was, it is sad, when she was 14, she got pregnant. And it was allegedly by SA, and it was a family friend. And they made her give up her son. She had a little boy, and she gave him up for adoption. And that was also traumatic. And after that is when, it got even worse around the neighborhood with the kids. She ran away frequently. She slept in the woods frequently. It was not a good, childhood at all. Her grandfather like had this really bad, just explosive temper. And, people would go on to be, from her childhood that grew up with her, would go on to be interviewed in various documentaries. And they said that they'd seen, him just beating her with his hands, with his fists, with the belt, just
whatever's within reach, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. At 15, she was kicked out of her house officially. And that's when she became, basically homeless. And she did whatever it was that she had to do to survive. There's also a story that when she was, 12, 13, somewhere in that area, somewhere between 12 and 14, there was a man in the neighborhood who would have the children over and give them alcohol and other stuff. And it was like a party house, but it's widely suspected that he was a pedophile and that he abused Aileen. So like her childhood was not good. It was bad. It was a recipe for disaster. And then she ended up basically hitchhiking across the country and ended up in Florida. So then that's basically it for her childhood. It's just sad.
It is sad. It's really, but you know what? How many others are just like her, except they don't actually, take people's lives, right? Because I'm sure there's plenty of them. I'm sure there is. So my question with her has always been, is she a sociopath? Is she a psychopath? Is she schizophrenic? What is it? Is it trauma-based? What happened to her that made her take the first kill? Because once she killed the first time, it was as if she felt like, okay, well, it's fine. Because once she did it, it's like she did it. Each one of them was so close together, right? It just seems like once she got past the first one, well, nothing else mattered, right? So that's my question. I know that you have a certain thought or your opinion on what exactly she is. It's just very different from mine. But I always wanted to talk to you about it because I've heard you talk about that before. So look, I want to show this little clip that I found. Okay. It's about 6 minutes. So we'll play like the first 3 and then we'll stop and we'll talk or whatever. But she actually, it's her final interview, before she gets the needle. And she actually, it gave me a better insight into what she really is. See, because I had never seen this before. So hang on, guys. Let me try to add this here. Okay, now I'm not very good at this. I'll tell you gently. Just hang on a second.
Okay. Oh, all right. What you want to do is click the plus button at the very bottom. Mm-hmm. All right. And then you click share screen.
Okay. Got it.
All right.
Oh, there she is.
And then you add it. Yeah.
There she is. And she looks wild right here. But anyway, so here we go.
And you might want to take it and make it see at the bottom there where you can make it full screen, make it full screen. That might work better too, so people can really see it.
I'm all right with it. But like I said, remember, let them know that I know that the
So
cops knew
on
who
the
I was
tab-
after Richard Mallory died.
yeah, the
I
tab
left
that you're
prints everywhere,
sharing,
and they covered it up.
make it on the
And let
YouTube
me
channel,
kill the rest
click
of
on
those
the
guys
video
to turn
itself
me
and
into-
make it full screen.
Oh, crap. Oh, boy.
That's all right. You can do it. You can do it.
Oh,
Do
here we go.
everything that you did, and whenever the video, then add it to, then play it. There you go.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to make it big again and then find myself. Okay. All right, let's go here.
Okay. Make sure you add it to the stream.
All right. Hang on. I need to go small so I can see it. See, this is the problem. I can't even see y'all now. Okay. Hang on.
Once you get back to where, when you're sharing a screen, you're going to be on a different tab for a moment, right? But you can switch back and forth at the top from the tabs. Then you'll be able to see, once you get back to the StreamYard tab, you'll be able to get back and see your chat. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
here we go. Get myself pulled back up. Now, come back over here. So she's right there. Oh, hang on, guys. It makes me sick. You know what? I don't know why it's just such a damn problem, but let me go pull it back up. I don't want to lose y'all. I'm afraid I'm going to lose my
why don't you do this? Okay, so copy and paste the link in the private chat. I'll click it and I'll share my screen. All you have to do is allow it. Okay.
Right. Okay, hang on just a second. Share. Let me get that link. Oh, I don't know how to get the link. That sucks.
All right, I got it. It's no big deal. Hold on.
Thank you. So sorry.
I'll get it.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Because sometimes I just cut myself off because, I'm on a laptop and I just kind of, okay, there you go. Thank you. It's like you just need some kind of a, YouTube can be such just a hassle sometimes. And that's what makes me extremely nervous about it. It's because I'm afraid I'm going to lose everybody. I can sit and read all day long. But when you start sharing, screens and showing little clips and stuff, that is when I just get to be just a fumbling mess, But thank you, Jim. Thank you.
No problem. Is it the one that you sent me earlier? Is that the clip? Or is it?
Yeah, the one about her last interview. Yeah.
The one that says Aileen Wuornos coming clean?
Yes, that's it. Yes, thank you so much.
All right, no problem.
She's kind of interesting, like when she starts talking about this.
Right? She's quite interesting. All right. All right, now it should be backstage, and all you have to do is select add to stream.
Okay. Is that what this is right here?
Yeah, it should be next to my picture. There you go. All right, here we go.
Thank you.
No problem.
Oh, look, we're both there. Good. All right.
I got a message that Aileen wanted me to come meet her at the local jail. She had something to say.
Okay, I cannot go in the execution chamber and die in the execution chamber as a liar. And I cannot go in the execution chamber and be executed under the devil. I have to come clean and cleanse my spirit in the name of Jesus Christ. So I have to come clean and tell the world.
Just let me know when you want me to pause.
Lies that went on through my mouth. I mean, now prosecutors and cops.
And that you killed the 7 men.
Huh?
That you killed those men in cold blood.
Yeah, and I got to come clean that I killed those 7 men in first-degree murder and robbery. As they said, they had it right. A serial killer. Not so much like thrill kill. I was into the robbing biz. I mean, serial killers are in this thrill killing jazz. I was into the robbing, and eliminate a witness. But still, then again, I got a number, so it's serial killer. But I'm coming clean before I go in that execution chamber and be executed. That I killed them.
And so when you met them from the beginning, did you know that you were going to kill them? When they picked you up in their cars?
I pretty much had them selected that they were going to die.
But when you're saying that there was no self-defense, so there was no self-defense.
No, there was no self-defense. I'm being really straight up about everything. There's no self-defense. I'm really sorry what happened about everything. I was in this to me, this world is nothing but evil, and all of us are full of evil one way or another in whatever we do. We have evil in us, all of us do. And my evil would just happen to come out because of the circumstances of what I was doing. Hitchhiking, hooking, on the road. I was a homeless person all my life. And then the hitchhiking, hooking, I learned off the homelessness and cruising all over the United States of America and stuff. And so learning how to be a hooker as a hitchhiker eventually got tiring. In the end, I carried the gun for protection, but then I got where I was getting a real problem, and our rent was
So we're halfway through.
$1,200 behind. The timer was doing
fair use. We have to start talking about this. So I want to say this, and I know it sounds strange, but do you notice how much better she looked once she got to prison? Her face looks better. Her teeth look, and she just looks like she looks better. She was in horrible shape before she went to prison.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was homeless. She was, but also, she wasn't getting alcohol in prison either. So a lot of that has to do with, her sobering up. So yeah, she does look better, but I don't know. There's something about Aileen's eyes to me that, she does have the shark eyes. There's something I think like, okay, so you know how that part in the Harry Potter books where Voldemort is creating the Horcruxes and what he has to, it talks about what he has to do, which is essentially to take somebody's life. And it causes a split in the soul. It takes away from your soul. I do think there's some like element of truth to that when it comes to when a human being intentionally takes another human being's life. I think the light goes out of people's eyes and they get those shark eyes.
Right.
But there's another part of this interview that's really interesting because of the context of the interview. So initially, after Aileen is convicted, and she only went to trial on the murder of Richard Mallory. The rest she pled to. But so, and she appealed her sentence. Okay. She appealed her conviction. And because she was sentenced to death, obviously they're automatic appeals. And at some point during the appeals process, she decided she didn't want to appeal it any longer. And she, wanted to stop the appeals process, which is when, interestingly enough, they decided, oh, wait, now let's have her evaluated. Can she even make this decision, whether or not she can appeal her death penalty? She wanted to stop the appeals process. She wanted to go straight as quickly as she could to be executed. And this interview happens after she's been granted that, but it was a long road to get there. Number one, it wasn't instantaneous. And number two, in the interim, she'd been diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic and she's medicated. I think that I think Aileen is telling not the whole truth, but part of the truth. I do think with Richard Mallory, I do think it was self-defense. I do think the other ones are a continuation of a like a PTSD response. But I also think she was under a lot of pressure from Tyria Moore because, she supported both of them financially. And so I think that's why I think with human beings, it's not just one thing. It's many layers of things. And I think that with Aileen, it's many layers of many different things. So,
I mean, she's very different from Letitia Stout, right?
Very, very different.
Letitia Stout she not had PTSD. None of what she did, even I don't think, other than taking lives, compares to Aileen over here.
No.
I mean, this is just a very traumatized person who did not know how to live in the free world. So let's go ahead and finish this, and then we'll continue to talk. Thank you,
Okay.
Jill. I appreciate it so
Nope.
much.
Oh, no problem, babe. Here we
A
go.
lot of beer drinking and stuff. She wanted to go out all the time, so she was burning up the money I was making.
Hold on. I'm going to rewind
I
it
was
like a few seconds so you can
Okay.
hear where it stopped.
The gun for protection, but then I got where I was getting a real problem, and our rent was due $1,200 behind. But Tyra was doing a lot of beer drinking and stuff. She wanted to go out all the time, so she was burning up the money I was making. I was making good, about $200-300 a day, sometimes.
So
Sometimes
did she know what you were doing?
Oh yeah, Ty always knew everything I was doing.
So you were very close.
Yeah, we're.
All right.
And I still miss her, and I still love her, but I'm really sorry about everything I've done. I miss Ty. I lost Tyra over this, and then the people that lost their loved ones and everything. I really think first about the people that lost their loved ones, and then Ty second, because I have to put them in first on this whole thing. I'm really sorry for them losing their loved ones, man. I know the feeling.
And what about with Richard Mallory? Because you gave that testimony with Richard Mallory.
Yeah, Richard Mallory was not self-defense. Richard Mallory I killed him I needed his wheels to move the stuff, and he had the right amount of money I needed to move into the apartment. So.
But what about the testimony that you gave in court about?
That's just, like I was saying.
About the Visine and.
Oh, I was just doing a lying biz. I was.
All right. I don't believe that. I think she told the truth in her testimony. I think Richard Mallory is exactly who she said he was, because he had a history of that. And the fact of the matter is, Aileen wouldn't have known that he had the right amount of money. He was a criminal himself. Do you think he let her in on how much money he had? Do you think he wasn't careful in, opening his, taking out the money to pay her? Of course he was. He probably had it in his pocket, not in his wallet. I mean, I think what Aileen is doing in this last interview that she gives isn't so much coming clean, is she wants the case closed. She's trying, I think, personally, to make sure for real, that Tyria Moore never gets investigated, that she's fully cleared of all of this. So that's what I've always thought that.
See, I agree with you on this right here, because you can see in her face that she's just forcing herself to say these things. I think the PTSD is really what, I agree with you, is what made her kill the first time. I think that he was probably about to rape her, So
no, I think he actually did rape her.
Right.
I think he beat the crap out of her. I think everything you see in the movie Monster is what happened. Okay. She was going to be killed, and she got his gun and she shot him, and then she robbed him, and then she stole his vehicle, and she put him under a rug or a piece of carpet out in a junkyard. But I think Monster got it accurate. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead. No, you're great. Thank you so much.
No, I'm done. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
We can play it some more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just my lying gig, try to beat the system.
Really? So that was really all, none of it was true? Because in court you gave such a graphic description of what had happened with Richard Mallory.
Yeah, after sitting around thinking how I could drum up a story,
So it was pretty convincing.
Was it? That's sad.
Well, I thought so.
Oh, that's sad. Well,
and it's not that you just decided that you wanted to die and you wanted to get it over and done with, that you changed your story.
No, the reason is it's serious. There's no way, and nobody should go in that execution chamber dying on a hope for a lie, and even by the second may get out of this thing on a lie.
But I heard, that you just couldn't stand being on death row after 12 years.
Nick, this is the last time I'm going to say it. You have to kill Aileen Wuornos because she'll kill again.
Gosh. So, think about that statement she just made. I mean, she's, I don't necessarily think that, I think she just told him that because Country Life Chicken Lady. Let me tell you what she said. She goes, I noticed she licks her lips a lot. I've wondered what kind of meds they had her on. See, I think maybe she was on some kind of meds when she's giving him that interview, because she seemed to be like on her face. What's coming out of her mouth seemed to be completely different than what's showing on her face. What do you think, Jen?
Oh yeah, she was definitely medicated. I mean, they had her on medication for schizophrenia. The medication that they use to treat schizophrenia is no joke. It's very, very strong. And, you know, I think that Aileen knew what to say. Okay, so before she even got arrested and charged and convicted of the murders, I mean, she'd been arrested many, 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 many times for prostitution. She understands how the system works. She's been in jail many times. I think she knew exactly what she needed to say in order to get the case closed. She doesn't, I think at the end of the day, I think Aileen saw the world in a very skewed way, because all she'd ever seen in the world was evil and bad. People treated her badly. They abused her. They used her and threw her away. She was disposable, dispensable, all of those things. And even Tyria,
I was thinking that.
in the end, she used her as well. I think that they did have some kind of love for one another, but I think that when push came to shove, Tyria was willing to throw her under the bus completely to make sure that she wasn't implicated in some type of way, even though I suspect she knew exactly what was going on, at least a few of them. Maybe not all of them, but at least a few of them.
I agree with that too.
So yeah.
You take a drink. She, in this brief that I have, that's 87 pages, it kind of goes back to day one, right? About from the crimes, it goes back to day one. It starts explaining each and every one of the people and what happened at length to each and every one of these people, which I find it's kind of interesting. But the one thing they don't talk about very much is the time that she was married, when she was 20 years old. And she was married for, I think it was like 9 months. And then he accused her of beating him with his own cane and divorces. Now, she was about the same age as his own daughter. Remember that?
Right.
And they shopped a lot. They had fun. But I think she just married him. She didn't love him. She needed a roof over her head. She didn't need money to spend. So, I mean, that you had to know that was never going to last. But
I think Aileen was always hopeful that there was going to be somebody to come along and sort of like rescue her from all of this. And I think she thought she could fall in love with him at some point. But even though 20 is really young, so many things had happened to Aileen in the 20 years of her life that she, I think, was so damaged. And the problem with Aileen is that when she would drink, she would get violent. And so I do believe that, yes, I think she did everything that he accused her of. I think that, Aileen was actually really pretty when she was young, before she, before being homeless and the alcohol really like hardened her. And I think that the guy that, married her, all he saw was a pretty young thing. And, Aileen just was not going to be tamed. So,
that's a good way to put it. Yes, I agree with that too. Yeah, I do. I just, and like now they say, like nobody even knows whatever happened to her son. Nobody has ever, he's never came out and said, oh, I'm really Eileen's son. I often wonder if he even knows that he's Eileen's son.
Probably not. I think the adoption was closed.
And I think I agree with that one right there, because would you really want to admit that was your mother?
Well, no. I mean, I think that it would be very difficult for if the adoption had been open instead of closed. I think we could be facing a situation like with Diane Downs' child that she gave up, and I think that inevitably what might have happened is he may have tried to connect with Aileen, and I think that had he done it, Aileen was just not mentally stable at all, and I think that she would have done a number on him in the same way that Diane Downs did a number on her biological daughter. So yeah, I think that the right call was made to protect that child, from
Yeah, me too.
knowing that. And it makes you wonder, because Aileen never met her dad, but she knew about her dad. And it kind of makes you wonder if Aileen was told growing up what, the type of person that her father was, and that she was going to grow up to be nothing, just like him. And maybe it was somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe she was told she was nothing so much, she became nothing.
Exactly. See, I agree with that because I can see the home that she grew up in being treated like that, just every time she turned around, being talked to like that. She could never please anybody, never at that home. She was just their piece of trash that they could just throw out. Now, I really always thought, oh, she's just a sociopath, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think that's really true anymore. I don't. I think I agree with you that because of her schizophrenia and her home life, that it started as a trauma response, PTSD, but it turned into, I don't have any other way out. I have to keep going. I've got somebody else over here that won't get a job, or I don't know if she wouldn't get a job or just she didn't want her to get a job, but just didn't help at all. Just was running around, just having fun. So, and that was a lot of pressure on somebody who had no skills,
Right. Right. And I think that, when Tyria Moore testified against her, first of all, there was a recorded phone call. The chicken lady just reminded me of that. There was a phone call between them that was recorded, and you can hear in that phone call the minute it clicks with Aileen what she's up to, what Tyria is up to, and it's right after that she confesses. So, I think, and then seeing Aileen seeing Tyria testify against her, I think devastated her. I think it broke her heart. And I think at that point she realized, I think she's telling the truth when she says the world is full of evil, because that was her experience with the world. And so I think she was just done. She just wanted all of it to be over. She didn't want to sit on death row anymore. She didn't want to go through the appeals process anymore. I think she just wanted her sentence carried out so she could move on.
Yeah. Hey, Robin, good to see you. I agree with that too, because when you think about these people who are sitting on death row, and some of us at 15, 20, 30 years, I wonder how many cases of people have just passed away from natural causes before they could even get their death sentence.
Definitely from where you are, like Florida and Texas they have a very streamlined appeals process. And when I say that, we're talking about, 20, 25, 30 years where, so you're more likely to have your sentence actually carried out in Florida and Texas than you are in a place like California. More, when they used to have the death penalty, people actually did die of old age on death row or other causes other than their sentence being carried out. Yeah. So.
Right. I couldn't imagine being in her shoes, number one, and number two, I couldn't imagine sitting on death row like that, because they are not treated the same as the other people. Look, I wish that, I know we're not talking about Letitia, but I really wish that she could have been given the death penalty. I really do. She is just a waste of space, abusing the system every which way she can. The woman, I can't stand her. You know that. I know you do. I just can't stand her. And I can't stand what she does and how she treated everybody in her life. She's to me, and, because she is diagnosed with having those behavior problems, that would be more like a psychopath with Letitia, but these people that can, how many other women, think about this, how many other women are on death row, etc., that really started from the same thing that Aileen started from. Not necessarily meaning to kill people, but something happened and they just, I called it rage, because the number of bullets that she would put into these people for no reason, it was just just overdoing it, seemed more like rage to me. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that Aileen had a lot of rage towards men in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think she actually, in the end, I think she really became a person who absolutely, to the very core of her being, with every cell in her body, absolutely hated men and saw all men as her original perpetrator. And I think that's how she viewed men. They were filth. And in her mind, I do believe, as messed up as her mind is and was, I think she actually thought she was doing the world a service by eliminating these men, that they were going to go on to be predators, that they were going to go on to hurt children and women. And there are, I cannot remember his name. He was an older gentleman. It was one of her last victims. And
Is it the one that was carrying the Bibles?
yes, he
Okay,
was.
yeah.
I think he wasn't picking her up as a prostitute. He was picking her up as a hitchhiker. He was trying to help her.
Okay.
And by that point, I think she was too far gone. And I think she saw him as just another man that was going to eventually, or if they hadn't already, they were going to hurt women and children. And that's why she killed him.
Yes, I agree with that too. I wish this would stop. Okay, so, I don't know if I can start reading this brief if y'all want to hear it, because it really does detail each and every one of these. And her attorney has written this because it's the appellate's brief. It's the response to the first appeal, right? So,
Right.
I can read the whole thing if y'all want me to. We can start on that today, or I can pre-record it and put it out, and you can listen to it whenever you want to. You tell me what you think we should do with it. What do you think, Jen?
I kind of think that, well, do you have, do you want to read the whole thing? Like, eventually, do you want, or are there, like, for a live, I would say maybe, like, do you have the highlights? Are there certain aspects of the appellate brief that you found, like, more interesting than the others? And maybe we can talk about that, and then maybe put out a whole thing about her, or do the whole appellate brief. I would say also it really depends on your chat. I'm a big person about I like to give the chat what they want.
Right. Well, there's this.
So you didn't want this to be incredibly long either, so there's that.
Right. Because I don't really go over 2 hours, maybe 1.5 or 2 hours. I think what I'm going to do is just go up here to where it talks about the names of the people and what happened. Actually, let's just start with the issues. We'll start with the issues because that's short, relatively short, because this thing is 87 pages, and that would take a long time to actually just sit and read the whole thing. There's just no way to. So we'll just start with the issues that they brought up in her appeal. Okay. And I'm not going to read the cases they used for her appeal. I'm not going to read those because that would just on and on and on, because these things are just ridiculously, but I get it, So her first issue was filed as whether the trial court erred on denying appellant's claims that her counsel was ineffective for failing to pursue a voluntary intoxication defense and failing to discover and present additional mitigation witnesses during the penalty phase. Okay, so now this is the good one to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we'll do. We'll just read it and talk about it. Okay, so she's talking about this intoxication defense. Now, I don't know. I've never seen a case where they actually used intoxication as the defense. What about you?
I don't actually think that I've ever I don't think I've ever seen it actually.
Right. Okay.
That I can think of. That doesn't mean that I haven't. It just means that like right now off the top of my head, I cannot. Oh, you know what? That's not true.
Okay.
I think that Carla Faye Tucker
Mm.
in Texas, I believe that I think part of her defense was intoxication, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look it up, but I think so. I know
I
that was.
think you're right. It was either that or under the influence of something.
Mhm.
But whether you're under the influence of something or it doesn't matter. You still don't have the right to take people's lives, right? Okay. So
No,
let's.
but I think with the argument for Aileen could be made that because she was under the influence, her perception of what was going on might have been skewed. I
Right.
think that it wouldn't. I think that it would not have been a successful um, defense if they had gone that route. I think that her attorney did the best he could, and there are other issues with that attorney, her trial attorney,
Uh-huh.
that were better issues to be raised for ineffective assistance of counsel.
Okay.
He allowed access to Aileen by the media. He wasn't present. He took money for interviews for her, and
Oh
there was
God.
a lot of shady business going on with her original trial attorney. And listen, I love the Mary Jane, and I don't use it anymore and haven't for a very, very long time. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with using Mary Jane, but if you're driving from your office to the prison or to the jail to have a meeting with your client who's going to be on trial for capital murder and they're seeking the death penalty, I think he said something like it was a 7 joint drive.
Oh.
By the time you arrive, I don't care how long you've been using it or how, like, maybe you don't get, like, whatever. Seven joints in, you're gonna be a two-turn Tina, and I don't know how you can be effective um, and planning and talking about trial strategy when you're seven joints in. That's just me.
See, I agree with that too because that is very ineffective because he's not even listening to her. He's just there and she's trying to explain. He's just rattling on and he didn't really care. I just kind of feel like he didn't really care. He was just being paid by the state, so what the hell ever, right?
I think he cared, but what I think he thought was going to happen and what actually happened was very different. I think that what he probably did in the beginning was advise Aileen to take a plea. And I think that is what he was going to try. And I think that's what he was prepared to do, was to negotiate a plea for her. And really, when you're facing capital punishment, the state is not budging. I think the only thing he could have done would have been to spare her life, which would have been to give her life without the possibility of parole.
Right.
But I don't think he was prepared or equipped, frankly, to take it to trial at all.
So let's look at issue number 2 that they claimed. All
Okay.
right. This is kind of interesting. Whether the trial court abused its discretion in failing to keep the evidentiary hearing open for a period of 6 weeks so that the defense counsel might retain and present testimony of an expert on the issue of voluntary intoxication. So, did they not have? I don't know yet because I don't know if they actually did get an expert or did not get the expert. Because what he's saying did not, well, apparently they did because they did not keep it open long enough in order to get the expert witness about this voluntary intoxication.
Right.
I think that goes back with the first one, sort of. So the number 3 was whether the trial erred in summarily denying appellants claim that she was denied the effective assistance of counsel during the guilt phase of her trial.
If they were not, if her attorney failed to present mitigating factors and failed to bring in expert witnesses to present those mitigating factors, for example, it would have been beneficial for her to have been evaluated by a psychologist, because her defense at trial was self-defense.
Right.
And so it would have been very helpful for her to have been evaluated by a witness whose expertise lies in trauma responses, battered wives syndrome, or battered spouse syndrome, something like that. And they didn't do any of that. So yeah, her original trial attorney was highly ineffective. But you see, all these appeals are going to go nowhere. Ineffective assistance of counsel is extremely, extremely difficult to prove. It's a very rarely successful appeal.
Right. Okay.
But they still do it.
Well, I mean, I guess
to cover
that's the first thing they start with, every one of them. Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, most of them start with an ineffective assistance of counsel. They go, if they can't find a trial error that was so egregious that it would have changed the outcome of the trial, or that was so egregious that it clearly shows that the defendant's constitutional rights were violated, the next thing to go through is ineffective assistance of counsel. So, yeah.
The fourth thing they're claiming is, whether the trial court erred in failing to order a hearing on appellant's assertion that the adversarial system was compromised and prevented trial defense counsel from rendering effective assistance of counsel. Now, that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of goes with the other ones, I think. Issue number 5. Whether the appellant's trial was fraught with procedural and substantive errors which cumulatively denied the appellant a fair trial.
That's what I was just talking about.
And then number 6, they're going with whether the trial court erred in summarily denying appellant's claim that the appellant was denied her rights under some AKE versus Oklahoma, where counsel failed to obtain an adequate mental health evaluation. Yes, you just talked about that. I mean, and so when you look at these, maybe this is right. Maybe she did not get the mental health evaluation that she should have had. Maybe eventually she could have wanted this appeal on that. I'm not sure, because again, she stopped and never went all the way through. And then the next one was whether the appellant was entitled to a new trial based upon her allegations of newly discovered evidence. Now, this is an interesting thought here, because she tells everybody exactly that she did this. So what is the new evidence that says that would get her a new trial? I mean, that to me was very strange. What do you think, Jen?
Well, so are you talking about she told everybody she did it in the Nick Broomfield documentary? Are you talking about that? Because she was only tried for Richard Mallory. She was only sentenced to death for Richard Mallory. After the fact, she confessed to more crimes, but that's not what this appeal is dealing with. This appeal is dealing with only Richard Mallory. And does it list the new evidence? After that, does it talk about what the new evidence is?
I have to go down to where they number that issue and find it. And I don't mind doing that.
Oh, it's fine. If you don't, without knowing what the newly discovered evidence is, then, it's hard for me to say would that have been effective or not. But I think that, generally speaking, when there is newly discovered evidence, I know that one of the things that came up during her appeal process respective to Richard Mallory is that there was also a substantial amount of alcohol in his system. but I don't think that came up during her trial. So that might be one of the issues. But yeah, like generally speaking, especially in a capital murder case, newly discovered evidence, it can be very compelling and can sometimes lead to a new trial. Depends on what the evidence is, and what the appellate court, how much weight the appellate court gives that evidence. But generally speaking, they'll pay attention to that more than other things, except for constitutional rights. They're real big on the constitutional rights. They do pay attention to that.
Do you think that they're considering the new evidence when she actually did get the psychological evaluation? Because I don't know that that's evidence, but it is mitigating. I mean, well, let me think about that for a second. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that'd be new evidence, but it would be worth talking about as to why she is the way she is. So I think that might have stood. I'm not sure.
It would be new evidence, and here's why. Because part of their claim is the ineffective assistance of counsel in not hiring expert witnesses, not getting her evaluated. So if there's an evaluation then done, then that becomes new evidence. And especially if your argument, if your defense at trial is that this was not first-degree premeditated murder, this was self-defense. He attacked me, he assaulted me, he essayed me, and I had no choice. It was going to be him or me. And if I didn't, if I hadn't have shot him and killed him, I would be the one that would be dead. I would have been the murder victim in this case. So those are all important things that should have been put on trial, not just Aileen on the stand. She also, you could tell when she did testify that she wasn't prepped very well. So can you give me like 5 minutes? I'll be right back.
I'm going to go down here.
I'll be right back.
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to look down here on this and see if I can find section 7 to see if they even say what it is. So hang on. We'll just talk amongst ourselves while we do this. I was going to print this out, but then, 87 pages printed becomes, to talk about just a few of the points from it, just becomes a lot of wasted, ink and paper. And then what do I do with it? I end up throwing it away. So let me see if I can find this down here. Let's see. Oh, well, here we go. Number 7. The trial court. Okay. Now look at this. This is, okay. Let's see if I can find something about number 7 over here. Because I think when they talk about the brief, they lay it out in as the way they listed it. So it's just not all ran together. Okay, so let me go see. Jenkins testified. Let's go see. Let me think. Number 493. Oh boy. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here, and one of the things that I kind of would like to do, but we just can't. Oh, here we go. Here's the summary of the argument. All right, great. I found exactly what we need to talk about next, because it talks about the allegations of the evidence. Okay. All right. So when Jen comes back, we can talk about that. Everybody have a good weekend. You got anything planned for next weekend? Things like that. So, it's really hot in Texas still. Now, Jen Lou and I both live in Texas. And I've heard that it's kind of cooling off up north, and I'm so jealous. I mean, I don't like cold weather, but I don't like this. It's still 90, 91, 92, 93 degrees or whatever in the afternoons. Here's the main reason why. So the back of this house is like all windows. And so the house is kind of on this hill, right? So the house is taller than the trees. We have absolutely no shade. So as that heat just pours in the back of this house, the air conditioner is going as hard as it can, but it just cannot cool this house down enough to get the heat out of it. It's just driving me insane. So I told my husband, I said, well, next summer or before next summer, it's swampy in Central Florida still. Oh yeah, you got a lot of humidity, right? See, it's not that humid where I live, and it's really not that humid where Jen lives. So I think that the heat and the humidity is really a horrible combination. It is. I think there's this thing, it's called, you put it into your air conditioning system. It's like this dehumidifier thing that is part of, like your air conditioner is supposed to pull the humidity out of the air, right? But I'm telling you something, I know it's not, because I got these little, I think they're made by Damp, I think is the name of it. And I just sat them around to see, because I wanted to test this myself. And sure enough, there is moisture collecting in these little tubs, right? So I know this air conditioner is not pulling the humidity out of the air. So I told my husband, I said, listen, I'm going to have the AC people come out and test it. And then he starts giving me all this, too much information about how they decide if it's correct or not. I told him, I said, well, I don't care if that's how they do it. I am going to have this thing installed because there is no reason for this air conditioner to leave this much moisture that it's collecting in those little Damp tubs. So that was a whole big discussion. So I don't know. It's just so irritating. We were going to downsize because, my child just went off to college. So we were going to downsize. But after we went out looking and just shopping and trying to figure it all out, I was like, right now, housing is so expensive. We would have spent double what we spent to buy this house, okay, for a house that's half the size. Why would I do that? Yes, this house is too big, but that's okay. I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm not doing that. I'm not wasting my money. Mm-mm.
Well, speaking
Yes,
as the wife of a HVAC person who's been doing it for 20 years now, what they'll do is they're going to do a heat load on your house, and it's a mathematical equation. And Lil Red, it's actually worth it to have that done, and I'll tell you why. Because when they do the heat load, what they're going to do is they're going to figure out where your return is, how big your unit is, that they're going to look at the duct work in there, and it might simply be that where the air blows out of the registers, they might be in the wrong spots, because heat loads are not something that is done when a house is built and the AC is installed. The HVAC system is installed. So it actually can be very beneficial to have it done. The other thing that I would suggest, which is something my mom did a long time ago in their house when they lived here, is they put up solar screens, and that helped tremendously. Because when my parents bought that house in Arlington, where I grew up, that was a new subdivision. It was a new home, and although we had trees, it wasn't an established neighborhood. So the trees were all saplings. They were all babies, and it was going to take years and years and years. And my mom was like, I'm not going to do this for years and years and years. So she had solar screens put in, and it made a tremendous improvement. And I would also suggest, speaking as the wife of an HVAC person, to make sure that you get a good reputable AC company. That's number one. And get a service contract with them to have your unit, both the indoor and the outdoor, checked on a regular basis. Usually they do it in the spring and in the fall. So they do one for summer and one for winter, obviously. Get your ducts cleaned, and make sure that your AC and your heater are running efficiently. Make sure that there's enough refrigerant in the system. Make sure there's not a leak in the line for the refrigerant. Make sure that I've seen that a tiny little capacitor goes out and it messes up, it throws everything off balance. Your AC will still run, your unit will still run, but it's not going to run efficiently. And when the humidity gets to a certain level, nothing will pull the humidity out of the air like that. No matter how many units you have, no matter how big, how efficiently they're running, all an air conditioner is to do really is it does exactly what it says. It conditions the air. It's supposed to pull the humidity out and force cold air in. But if it's not running, if it's so humid, if the dew point is so high that it can only do so much. It's not a miracle worker.
Right. That's a
So
good idea. Okay.
do
Well,
all those
I'm gonna
things.
have that heat load done. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
that done.
do it. It's absolutely worth it. And all it could be really, low red, is that you just need the registers. You might need bigger ducts, and you might need more registers, and the registers might need to be in different areas. And
That
that's
sounds
it.
great. I mean, that's
So
perfect. And that's very doable. Yes, it'll cost
yeah.
a little bit of money, but if you're going to be comfortable, you need to make it comfortable, because obviously now we're not selling this house ever. We're staying. So anyway,
But
um,
also change your filters. Make sure you change your filters every 30 days. And candles are very hard on filters. I just want to put that out
oh,
there. Now I feel like I've done my I've done my little speech, because these are all things that I get lectured about all the time. Babe, I know that you love a candle, but they're so bad for our filters, which is why I'm glad I found Nay, because
yes,
her
yes.
wax melts don't do anything to the filters. Don't ruin it at all. So yeah. Like he told me one time, he came home from work and he was like, "Baby, you're not going to believe. Remember how I was telling you about the candles?" And I was like, "Yes, honey, I remember about the candles." He pulled out a filter in a woman's home, and it was filled with soot. And he's like,
Mm.
"Did you have a fire in here?" And she's like, "Well, no." And he looked around, and she's got like 5, 6, 7 candles burning all the time in each room of her house. That's very, very hard on your system. So there
That's
you go.
very
That's just
strange.
my little PSA for everybody.
Thank you so much. We
You're
appreciate that,
welcome.
because
You're
we do
welcome.
need to know these things,
You do. It's
because things
important.
go on and we don't know, because our husband doesn't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know. So I found this. Let me tell you what I found. I found it's
Okay.
called Summary of the Argument. So now we can just read over those,
Oh,
because I think
perfect.
we'll find this other information. Okay, so let's go with the Summary of the Argument number 1. Make it bigger. Yeah, it's so tiny. It's kind of hard to. Okay, so trial counsels were not ineffective for failing to place additional emphasis on the voluntary intoxication defense. I'm having to move this kind of weird like that because it's so small.
Okay.
The experienced trial attorney made a tactical decision not to rely upon a voluntary intoxication defense, and instead pursued a self-defense case. So he went with self-defense instead. The trial counsel were not ineffective for failing to call lay mitigation witnesses during the penalty phase. Much of the information offered by the lay mitigation witnesses was in fact presented to the jury through these 3 defense experts called during the penalty phase. So they had some experts. So issue number 2 now. The trial court was under no obligation to keep the evidentiary hearing open so that the collateral counsel might retain an expert on voluntary intoxication and have appellant examined. Collateral counsel should be investigated. Oh, listen to this. This is good. Collateral counsel should be investigated this claim. Should have investigated this claim prior to asserting it in the rule number 3.850. I thought they were saying, you need to investigate this counsel. Okay, wrong. It's hard to read it like this. Number 3. Okay. Any allegations of ineffective assistance of counsel based upon the Williams rule of evidence was procedurally barred, as admission of this evidence was approved by this court on direct appeal. Trial court, maybe I should turn it this way and see. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Trial counsel were not deficient for failing to uncover and utilize a 30-year-old conviction, a victim. Listen to this.
This is the problem. This is the new evidence they're talking about, is his who he was, is his convictions, his crimes.
I mean, I don't care if it is a serious crime, if it was 30 years or 2 years, it is the same to me.
Well, right. And if you're saying that, if your defense is that he was physically and sexually assaulting you, and it's a self-defense claim, then yes, his record would be pertinent information for the jury to hear. I think personally, none of this would have helped Aileen, and not because it's not true, not because it was a lie, But I think that generally speaking, people tend to have a negative view on prostitutes, on sex
Mhm.
workers. It's very difficult. For example, there's a case in North Texas, Dallas. He's called the Eyeball Killer. I can't think of his actual government name, but his victims were all prostitutes. It took so long for the police to recognize that there was a serial killer, because women would go missing, then they would turn up dead, and often their bodies were not all in the same like
Hmm. Yeah.
place and all that, but nobody really investigated because when they would be reported missing, nobody was looking into it because prostitutes live a very transient lifestyle, and it's like nobody cared. But there was a beat cop who was part of the investigation, and she had a very good rapport with the women, and this is how he was caught. She would talk to these women and find out about their johns, and was there a specific john, had they heard anything, and that is how he ended up being caught, because she cared. But I think that the jury was never going to believe that whatever was going on between Richard Mallory and Aileen was not consensual, because she's a prostitute. And I think that that needs to change.
That's a whole nother show if you stop and think about it.
Yeah,
Because
it
you're
is.
right. You're absolutely right about that. They're just not treated as human. It's ridiculous. I mean, in some places it's legal. So they should have, any woman should have the same rights, no matter what their job is, right?
Correct. No is no, no matter what no matter the circumstances. Saying that a woman who's a prostitute is incapable of being a victim of sexual assault is tantamount to saying, well, what to a woman being sexually assaulted, like a date, especially date rapes are very difficult. It's that under those, well, what were you wearing? Well, how much did you have to drink? What were you saying to him? It's victim blaming, and it's gross.
It is gross. We do need to talk about that. I'm going to read this, and then we'll talk about this other situation. I don't know if you've heard me talk about this or not yet, but anyway, this issue was procedurally barred from review as it, I'm going to turn the page here, was litigated at trial and on appeal. The attorneys alleged failing to have an appellant evaluated for competency at the time of trial was properly denied without a hearing. Appellant failed to allege sufficient facts. Ooh, don't do that. Hang on a minute. It's just kind of
serial killer profile.
Oh my gosh! Look, stop it! I just lost it. It kind of just. Oh, here we go. Let me just reopen it. It's okay. I got it right here. Oh my God! It's hard to do this. I really should have printed it out, right? Okay, here.
No, we just need to get you comfortable being on another screen, looking at another screen.
Yes.
While you're reading. It makes it much easier if you can open another tab on your laptop and read it from there. The print is better. It's easier to scroll, all those things. Just need to get you comfortable doing that.
Shit, now I've lost my damn brief. That makes me so mad at myself. Just reading my own damn show here. Now, where was I? Okay, hang on a minute. Oh my God, it's right here. Oh, don't do that. I swear, I don't understand. Oh, right here. Here we are. We're back on it. Sorry about that.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's all right.
Okay, so we're talking about, let me turn it back around this way. Right here. All right, we're just going to leave it like this. Okay, see, the attorneys alleged, yes, we're right here. On number 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the trial court was under no obligation to evidentiary hearing. Okay, and we talked about that one. Any allegations of ineffective assistance of counsel based upon the Williams rule, we talked about that one, right? Oh, here we are. We're going to the next page. Was litigated at trial and on appeal. The attorney's alleged failure to have appellant evaluated for competency at the time of trial was properly denied without a hearing. Appellant filed to allege sufficient facts to suggest that she could carry her burden of establishing incompetency at an evidentiary hearing. Okay.
Basically, what they're saying is that the trial, if I'm understanding it correctly, I'm not an attorney, that the trial defense attorney asked for Aileen to have a competency evaluation done, and it was denied without a hearing. And the appellate is the appellate court is saying, well, you don't need it. You don't need that. And further, you're raising that as a trial error now, but you're not providing us evidence as to why it was wrong. What is substantially different? And the fact of the matter is, Aileen had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and the bar for competency is set really, really low. You basically have to know what your charges are, who the judge is, who your attorney is. But if you have a mental health disorder that A, is just newly diagnosed, and B, you are on medication for, but after the fact, after the trial, that part of competency is being able to participate in your defense. So if you are schizophrenic and you're not being treated because you've not been diagnosed, that substantially impacts your ability to aid in your own defense. So I think that the appellate court is incorrect in this under these circumstances. I think that I think if they would have continued the appeals and appealed to a much higher court in the appeals process at the state level, like the state Supreme Court, I actually think that one might have been successful.
Okay. Issue number 4. Appellant failed to allege sufficient facts demonstrating any prejudice to support her assertion that the adversarial process broke down in this case. The adversarial process broke down in this case. Yes, there you go. The accuracy broke down. Right.
Let me see what that means.
Yes, thank you. Okay, October. There's a week in October where I'm getting my little cataract fixed, which causes me problems with reading and stuff. And I'm like, really, it drives me insane, but I'm in this eye study thing, and I can't get this part fixed until the eye study is over. And it's over on September 15th. So that is the holdup. It sucks getting old, I'm telling you.
It does. Okay, so in Florida criminal cases, the adversarial process refers to the core legal framework where two opposing sides, the prosecution and defense, present their evidence and arguments to an impartial judge or jury to determine guilt or innocence. A key aspect in the adversarial preliminary hearing, where both sides can present witnesses to challenge or support probable cause for continuing the case. This system aids to protect individual rights by having each side vigorously advocate for their position within the established rules of court and evidence, ensuring fairness and truth-seeking through debate and scrutiny. Let's see.
They're claiming it broke down.
Let's see. I'm reading this. Hold on just a second. It's essentially it's essentially similar to a probable cause hearing, and it is required, even though the defendant in that under those circumstances still maintains the presumption of innocence. It's intended to make sure that the state has enough, that the evidence is what the state says it is, and that they have the right person. It's intended to make sure that it's a part of the process in Florida to make sure that, there's not like government overreach or, an innocent person is standing trial. So it's a little more rigorous, I think, than a typical probable cause hearing.
Okay. Number 5. Appellant's allegations of cumulative error lacks any specific facts to show error, either individually or cumulatively. Number 6, we'll keep going here. Appellant's defense team presented the testimony of 3 competent mental health experts during the penalty phase. As appellant failed to attack either their conclusions or their qualifications. It's the simple fact that the additional experts could have that they could have called did not mandate a hearing. Okay. So they had experts, and because they did not ask for any additional experts, there was no reason to have another hearing on their experts. So what I take, what do you think? Same thing?
That's kind of how I took it, yeah.
Okay. Appellant's allegations of newly discovered evidence did not require a hearing. The evidence was either not newly discovered and or would not have led to a different result at the trial. Okay. So,
That's typically what the response is to those kind of things by the state and the appellate court, because the thinking is, okay, a lot of times when people think of newly discovered evidence, the burden. So let me start here first. Let me just start over. The burden of proof during the appellate phase shifts completely and entirely. It is no longer on the state. It is solely on the defendant, which they refer to in this under these circumstances as the appellate. And it is a different level of burden of proof during the appellate process than it is during the actual trial process. The theory behind that, the thought behind that, is that there are multiple checks and balances system in place to make sure that the defendant at the time, now appellate, that their rights are being preserved, that that none of their rights are being violated. It's very difficult when the newly discovered evidence isn't DNA to get a new trial, mostly because it's difficult to get into a juror's mind and know whether or not if they heard this evidence, if it would substantially change the outcome of the trial. Whereas with DNA evidence, for example, a rape kit, and somebody's on trial for rape, and they have all kinds of eyewitness testimony, and there is DNA evidence available, but at the time, like years and years and years, decades ago, when it wasn't, when DNA wasn't a thing, or like in the early 90s when DNA was a thing, but it was not as advanced as it is now. Okay, and the best they could do was like basically blood type. Okay,
right.
And then they hang on to the sample and it's run, and it turns out that the DNA from the rape kit does not match the defendant. That is far more compelling evidence and much more likely, although not always, but that's far more compelling evidence and more effective, and you're more successful in getting a new trial than that. Newly discovered evidence is, like in this situation, they're talking about Richard Mallory's background, his criminal past. It's not new evidence, but it's something that the trial attorney should have looked into. If Aileen was saying that she was not guilty because she was defending herself, it was a self-defense claim, then the victim, he should have looked into who Richard Mallory was. Richard Mallory, first of all, Richard Mallory came to where she was from Clearwater. Now, I know that sounds like, oh, he went from one coast to the other. Well, okay, from that part of Florida to the part of Florida where Aileen was, really, Florida's a long state. It's not a wide state. It's only about three, maybe 3.5 hours, depending. And that's without traffic, but you know what I'm saying? It's not that long of a distance to drive, but the fact that he did do it should have, and she's making these claims, his background should have been investigated, and it wasn't. So unfortunately, it's not that and this is the other thing, it's not that it couldn't have been investigated. It wasn't investigated, and that's very different. And a lot of times they'll chalk it up to, well, it's the defense attorney's job to prepare the defense's strategy at trial, and there must have been a good reason why he chose not to present the evidence of Richard Mallory's past conviction. A lot of errors can be like explained away that way and are frequently by the courts.
Here's the question now. Think about this. Where was this gun that she could just grab it and start shooting him in the middle of whatever was going on here? Was it on his person? Was it in the vehicle? Was he intending to shoot her? Think about it. How did she get it so easily?
I believe that she didn't get it so easily. I believe that they struggled over the gun.
Okay.
And that she overcame him and was able to get the gun away from him and to shoot him. That's, if I remember correctly, it's been a minute since that part of the case really is difficult for me to read about and absorb. And so I've kind of like, when I absorbed it, read about it, I did. And I remembered then, for whatever reason, I needed to remember it. And then my brain was like, okay, we're going to delete that file. We don't need that in our S anymore. So delete it. But I believe there was a struggle for the gun. It wasn't just like laying out where she could get it.
Okay.
She didn't come with it.
That's what I wondered about, though. Right.
It was his gun.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know if he was wearing it. Because if he's wearing it and all this struggle starts, then I can really see the PTSD. Oh, he's going to kill me, But if he wasn't wearing it, then that's a whole different issue. So,
right.
Then the last thing, number 8. Now, this is kind of interesting here. Appellant's Brady claim was properly denied without a hearing. The underlying discovery violation was known at trial and rejected by this court on direct appeal. As such, it was procedurally barred from review. Okay, so that was their arguments. That was the state's response, and then it goes into the agreements about all of this stuff. Which I want to read about this and put it out, because there's a lot of people that thinks that she didn't even appeal, but she did appeal. The problem is she just gave up in the middle and said, "I just want to stop." Remember, like you said,
right? But that wasn't okay. That's she didn't give up. What she did was she filed a motion to stop the appeal. And that in and of itself took time. There were many, many, many hearings designed to find out if she was even competent to make that decision. Right. Which then goes back to this, argument by the state. Well, she was competent. Everything was fine. Okay, everything was fine. But then when she wants to stop her appeals, all of a sudden, we better check and make sure she's competent. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right. I get that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, okay, we've been on for like an hour and 22 minutes, and I don't like to go really long time because people have other things to do. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of a pre-recorded things to kind of describe some of these, and then we can go back and talk about them another time. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect. Thank you so much for having me up. I appreciate it. You guys that are in the chat, make sure you give Little Red a thumbs up on her video. She did a really good job on this live. I'm very proud of her.
Well, Jenlu and I are working with me so I can, navigate on this computer and not drop the live from StreamYard.
You got to calm down. Let me just say this. This is something I've learned as like being, a live stream when I do live streams. The people that come to watch you actually really do like you. They enjoy you. Don't get so frustrated and when little mishaps happen or you can't figure something out, just remain calm, because people will wait. The people that came to listen to you will appreciate, they appreciate you. And when a little kerfuffle happens, kerfuffles have happened to me, and people have been like, "Jen, calm down. It's fine. We'll wait." And they have. And over time, you'll get better at it. You'll get more used to it. It won't bug you so much. And the little kerfuffles will happen less and less and less and less. My suggestion is, if you're using a laptop, I would get a bigger monitor that you can use an HDMI cord with and plug it into the laptop. So
dual screen?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
More like, well, yeah, but make sure that, but set it up in a way where the StreamYard and everything, you're looking at it on the bigger screen. That way it will help you be able to see, and you won't feel like you know, when it'll help you get more comfortable switching back and forth from one tab to the other so that you can share your screen more. You don't have to use your phone where the writing is tiny. The screen is tiny. And you know what I mean? Get a big good old good HD monitor. And I would suggest, because I have an astigmatism, I would suggest getting the curved, a slightly curved.
Wow. Yeah.
They work much better. But there you go. Like, you're doing a great job, and people do want to hear what you have to say. And they, like Kelly said, we will wait. So don't get so frustrated with yourself. I promise it'll be okay.
Thank you so much. Well, you know, I'm gonna tell y'all all. I mean, I've said this once before, but I don't know if anybody ever heard it. But the people who inspired me were Jen Lou, MJ, and Alex. I watch them, and I know that they're so comfortable and they all get along great and they just do such a great job. But I knew I could not do true crime per se, because y'all are the giants and y'all are the ones I want to watch. So, you know, why would I mess that up, right? That's why I chose to do something different. But anyway.
Well, listen, I appreciate that. I will say, for my part, I know Allie would say the same, and I know MJ would say the same. It's not easy to get up here, go live, and do all the things. But when you first start out,
right?
But over time, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And I would suggest, if that's what you want to do, if you want to go live, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. It gets a little easier each and every. Oh, excuse me, I have the hiccups. It gets a little easier each and every time. And I would absolutely encourage you. And I appreciate if we inspired you. I know Allie and MJ would say the exact same thing. It takes time, and doing it over and over and over. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So
and a second monitor. I'm going to do that. I'm going this weekend to get one. I'm telling my husband he's just going to buy me one. Anyway, thank you so much.
For having me up, Loretta. I appreciate it. Thank you guys in the chat, and I'll see y'all later. I'm going to leave and let you close it out. Bye.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Yes, I am going to do a couple of prerequisites so that you can get the other information, because it's a lot of reading on here, and it is tiny. I'm going to print out the pages that I want to read from instead of the whole 87 pages. So anyway, y'all have a wonderful day. Go out and see our friends today. Enjoy their chat. Enjoy your day. And I'm going to do my book tomorrow. I'm going to go back and read 3 more chapters from the book I'm reading tomorrow over on Little Red Speaks. Anyway, thank you guys. Have a good afternoon. Bye.